China to get ready. And so we like post up in LA. We're there for 2 months. I did a pop-up at Orsa and Winston, Joseph Santino's restaurant. Super delicious. It's downtown LA. And he was kind enough to let me have his restaurant on his 2 days off. And he gave me some of his staff to run the dining room for me. He gave me an expediter and a dishwasher. And me and Hallie hired these 2 guys to come in and help us. And we put together this like sick menu and just had fun. We weren't trying to like blow people's minds. We were just trying to cook food and have a good time. Listen to, Wu-Tang Clan and roast some pigeons and stuff.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And so from there, my wife gets a job in Bangkok as a freelance gig. And we think it's a good idea because it's close to China. And she can just fly over when we're ready.
Yeah.
And so we're waiting a little longer now. We're delayed. So
what's the delay?
The delay is construction, as far as I've been told. And so I fly to Bangkok with all of my shit to move to Norway and then China. All my kitchen equipment, all my clothes. I probably got like 10 pairs of Vans in there, like everything. And then we're delayed some more. So I'm in Bangkok now for like a little over 2 months. And at one point I get a text, it might not happen. I'm really sorry.
Fuck.
And I get it, things happen. And so I start freaking out, and I'm like, I'm not enjoying Bangkok because I'm just like so depressed. I just left this amazing job. I'm like halfway around the world in this city. It's like kind of dirty. And I'm like, I'm freaking out a little bit. And so I start looking online, like what's available, like what's in Hong Kong. Hong Kong's tight. And I see this ad on Culinary Agents, which is the only time I think I ever used it. And it was hiring for a sous chef, Christopher Costow, Hong Kong. And I'm like, get out of town. And so I emailed this guy, chef, and he gets back to me like an hour later. And so we start chatting, and he knows about the Esmond thing because there's this article that's come out. And he's like, listen, like you call off everything right away, and we'll get you out here to Napa to start doing R&D. But I'm not going to like poach you from this guy, And so I finally get a phone call like, we're on. Are you in or you out? And at this point, I've been waiting for like 5 months. And I was a little irritated. I wasn't being very patient. And I was like, listen, man, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think I want to do it. And I told him, I was like, I'm going to go and I'm going to do this project with Christopher Costow. And I hope there's no hard feelings. And he's like, no hard feelings at all. Good luck to you. And hopefully it all works out for both of us. And so I fly back to Napa and I start training. Doing R&D with Chef Miles, Chef Dalton.
Yeah. Dalton Thomas,
Chef
shout
Costow.
out. Chef Miles, shout out.
Yeah, shout out to the boys.
Yeah. Opening team of Ensue.
It was wild, man, because I don't even know these guys.
I know.
And I became, like, in a matter of, like, 3 months, I was so close with them.
Yeah.
I knew everything.
Yeah.
I know everything about those guys.
Yeah, I mean, you
hopefully there's a few things I don't, but I know everything.
You'd come in to eat at the Charter Oak, have burgers, and that was right during my transition.
Yeah, it was like I was there right when you left to go there.
Literally.
And Cad just left. I mean, it was, and like at this point, now the restaurant menu was like completely changed.
Yeah.
It is completely changed. Like there's only 6 cooks.
Yeah.
But they're all like absolute gangsters.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like
shout
all
out
these
to
guys.
Jacqueline Dasha.
Oof. Shout
CDC.
out. And so that was a lot of fun being there for a couple months. And then the 3 of us take off and we go to China. We got there, I think June 2019, and we opened in August 2019. So we had a couple months to get set up, try and get all the SOPs in order, and try and get the kitchen set up. And the kitchen was delayed a little bit, but eventually we made it. And I don't know if anybody of you've seen a picture of this kitchen, but if you look on Chef Smiles Instagram or my Instagram, you're gonna see like go back a little bit, and like this kitchen is stunning. It really is insane. I can't tell you how happy I was to be a part of this project because I got to experience living in China. I got to experience opening a restaurant in China, but with just like a little less responsibility.
Yeah.
Right? And then it turned out that the other project never happened. It continued to get delayed. There was investor issues, COVID, like you keep naming all sorts of stuff, but it never happened. And so by taking this job, it was really the only chance I had to do China, and I was so stoked to be a part of it. And I ended up being able to hire most of the guys that I had already been talking with.
Yeah.
We hired a couple more beyond that. it was a sick time. It was hard though, you know. I thought it was gonna be easier. I thought more people would know English, but I'm just like a dumb, naive American.
Yeah.
You know, I should know Chinese, man, is what I should know. I should be learning Mandarin.
Exactly.
And, you know, we didn't even start lessons until like a week before the restaurant opened.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're going to be really good at speaking Chinese. You can pronounce things very well. And then that was the last class we ever took. I never learned any more Chinese.
Yeah.
So
how the hell did you communicate?
So we hired a sous chef, this guy, Sean. He was a Shenzhen resident. And he was in like business and like finance and stuff. And like he's already successful and like doing well for himself. He's got a couple cars. He had like this baby blue Jaguar he would drive around.
Damn.
Like he just opened a
in Shenzhen? Doesn't like nobody have cars down there?
No, everybody's got cars.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody's got cars.
Don't believe the myths.
No, everybody's got cars, but a lot of them are electric.
Oh, okay.
Or they're like they put off like less emissions. If you will.
Heard.
Yeah. But he had just like opened like a boba tea spot.
Okay.
You know? Like right when we opened up the restaurant, and he would like this dude would order us the entire restaurant. He would order us tea from like some very mediocre tea place. And he'd get it all in for us and pay for it and like for lunch. And we'd be like, oh, thanks, Sean. And then the next day, he'd order in tea from his tea place for all of us. He'd be like, it's better, right? We're like, yeah, man, it's better. I'll order from here from now on, I
He's
promise.
a motherfucking hustler.
Yeah, dude, he went for it. He was a funny guy.
He probably was doing the same thing at other restaurants.
Probably, yeah. But so Sean was our translator, the purchaser. You know, he had like probably like 3 or 4 different people's roles. And so like without Sean, I mean, I don't really see that restaurant opening. Like,
yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Because you got like Miles, Dalton, and myself, and we're all like,
yeah.
Like, what do we do?
So you do line up and you literally talk and you have a translator.
I mean, like kind of. So I'm also forgetting Abel, right? So he speaks Mandarin and Cantonese and English.
Gotcha.
He's from Singapore. Big shout out to Chef Abel.
Yeah, Abel Sue.
So he was another one of our sous chefs, and so we would do lineup. Most people spoke English in the restaurant. If they didn't, it would be just because it was a little like weaker, right? And like a lot of people were just really self conscious of their English, but I could understand everybody just fine.
Yeah, for sure.
So we would do our lineups in English, and then we would go back over it in Mandarin, just to make sure it was clear.
Got you.
And then, but in the kitchen it was English only. We were an English speaking kitchen. Everybody spoke it. We would translate for like the 2 or 3 commis that didn't.
Got you.
But it wouldn't be like a whole separate thing.
Yeah. What was staff meal like?
Staff meal was sick, man. It was like eating in like a gourmet Chinese restaurant all the time. Because we would run it like one person would be in charge of what was happening, but then like they would delegate like listen, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, and I mean it was a lot of fun. Like Sean would definitely put up the best staff meals for sure.
Okay.
Sean would definitely crush. And like you're eating like it's like Chinese food, right? But like most of the people that are listening to this probably haven't had the type of Chinese food that was like being cooked. It was just like so good. And like so authentic, Especially, I mean, you're there too, so might as well be.
Fuck yeah. I mean, I saw a lot of the pictures when you guys were working. There was a lot of positive camaraderie at that restaurant for sure.
Yeah, I think so, man. I don't think it was. I think from the get go we had like a pretty good culture. I mean, definitely opening a restaurant isn't easy. There's definitely some there's definitely some raised voices. I definitely said some things I wish I didn't.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, like I loved every single one of those people that worked there.
Fuck yeah.
And everybody worked so hard to get that place open. Like it was so much fun.
Yeah. And then you had to leave, right? Because was it COVID that made you leave?
Oh yeah, this is where it continues to get weird, right?
Okay.
So
we're still in the weird.
Yeah, just getting real weird. So Chinese New Year came, and everybody gets 2 weeks vacation. So I invited my little brother, some of my really good friends, my sister-in-law, all to come out, see us in China, spend a couple days, eat at Ensue, let's style you out, like make sure you see what we're doing out here, and then we'll go to Hong Kong for a couple days and party, and then we'll go on vacation somewhere crazy.
Yeah.
And so we ended up choosing the Philippines. And we went to Hong Kong for a couple of days, went to the Philippines. We're on this boat in the Philippines for like 3 days with no service. No nothing. And like we don't really know what's going on. And we left knowing that COVID was a thing, but it wasn't really like nobody was concerned about it yet.
Yeah.
And then we get back from this boat trip and it's like an outbreak. And not really knowing what was going to be happening, we just continued to watch the news. trying to watch like the U.S. news. We're watching a lot of like Chinese news, watching news from like other countries in Asia, just to see if we can like really find out like what is going to happen, because we were so unsure. And so at the end of the Philippines, I was supposed to go back to Hong Kong and then to China, and my wife, Alexa, was supposed to go to Bangkok where her work was. And her company was like, do not go to China. Like, do not go, because the countries are going to get shut down and you're going to get stuck. And so now we're thinking, if I go back to China and Lex goes to Bangkok, we're going to get separated. But I'm also thinking, like, this isn't going to be a big deal. This is going to blow over. Like, I remember
in a couple of weeks, just like everyone thought. Yeah,
like, it's going to be fine. And so I called my employers, I called Chef, I called everybody, and I was like, yo, I'm going to take a couple extra weeks. I'm going to go to Bangkok, because the restaurant wasn't opening anyways.
Yeah.
They just extended Chinese New Year, basically. And I'm like, I'm going to go to Bangkok, I'm going to hang out with my wife, I'm going to make sure everything's cool, and like, I'll come back when this is over. And they're like, yeah, cool, fine. And then like, that 2 weeks turned into like a month, maybe a little longer, maybe like 6 weeks. And then it came down to like me to make a decision. And then the borders closed. And there wasn't really anything for me to do. I think I ended up making my decision on my own anyways. I wanted just to continue moving forward. I mean, I just kind of like moved forward progression, you know? And like I was moving with momentum in this direction. And I'm like, oh, I guess this is what we'll do now. And
yeah. What did you end up doing?
So, I mean, this is where it gets fun, too. So I ended up staying in Bangkok for like another 2 months. And now I'm loving it.
What are your,
not like the first trip.
Yeah. What are your daily activities in Bangkok?
Oh, man. I wake up, I go and get like some heavily sugared coffee. Or a nice like espresso from somewhere. There's good coffee shops too. I'd like go to the gym, and then I just eat the entire day, eat and drink like all day long, you know, because why not? And my wife's going to work every day. She's going to the office, she's going to work, and I would just like go and like crush street food all day, go to bars, just go and hang out. I have friends at this point in the city now too, so I'm like meeting up with people. I'm getting tattooed. I'm like fucking eating all over the city. Like, you know, like I can ask people for tuk-tuk rides in Thai, so they're not trying to like rip me off anymore.
Heard.
And it was fun. And then I get a call from my homie that I worked with at Bethany. And he's like, hey man, me and my wife are on our honeymoon. We're getting derailed to Bangkok. I hear you there. Let's hang out. And I'm like, all right, cool. And so Alfonso and Kate, they came and met us in Bangkok. We party hard for like 2 days, and then they go, we're going to go to the islands, lock ourselves down. You want to come? And we're like, fuck it. So we book a one-way ticket down to the islands, and we stayed on Koh Samui for maybe 2 weeks, and then we were in Koh Phangan for like a little over 2 months.
Really?
Just kicking it. So everybody in America is going through COVID, and I'm not trying to rub it in here, but I mean, I never even put a shirt on. You know, like this is like island life, like riding around on scooters. We went like fishing every day. We were digging for clams, and like I'm like out there digging for clams in the morning, and then making like pasta vongole at night.
Yeah,
it was tight. It was so much
awesome.
Fun. Yeah, it was.
Where'd you stay? Was it like an Airbnb?
No, we're staying in like Airbnb, like villas with like pools and shit. It was Yeah, it was wild because the island was like completely shut down, so they were just running everything for mad cheap. So we're staying in like 5-bedroom villas for like, you know, $1,000, $1,500.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And so it was just the four of us, and it was a lot of fun. It was pretty sick. And Alexa was still working, so you know she was supporting us. Thank God. Yeah. Because I'm like getting back into video games at this point.
Yeah, your sugar mama. It's all good.
Finally.
Yeah.
And so then at this point I started getting some phone calls. You know, like, what are you doing? What's next? And so because I'm bored and I'm like incredibly stressed out. I'm trying not to show that I'm stressed out, but I'm like a self-conscious, very anxious person, and I'm like really worried that my career is going to take a huge hit from this break. What I don't understand is that the entire world is going through this. Yeah. Right? It's not just me. I'm just so worried about it. And so I started talking with some restaurants in Hong Kong, couple different ones, and I started talking with some restaurants in Europe as well. Some restaurants back in the States, and like meanwhile, I got like me and Alfonso were like daydreaming about reopening these restaurants in Hong Kong and just crushing, because we got a couple other friends in Hong Kong we worked with in New York as well, and we're like, let's go, like this is going to be good. And so I passed one of those restaurants to a friend of mine that I met at MIMO, and he took the job because I was supposed to take the other job, and then I turned it down like last minute. But he's actually in Hong Kong now, working at Haku as the head chef. That's Rob Drennan.
Sick.
And he's absolutely crushing it. So I'm super happy he went forward with it.
Cool, man.
my wife and I decided, I think it's best that we come back home and be close to family. And we were worried because COVID continued to get worse and worse. And now you got George Floyd and everything.